Thank you for being today with us this Saturday morning. I am Andri Foga and I am Agora's president. For the people that they don't know me, on behalf of Agora board, I would like to welcome you on the 10th Agora conference. This is a very important conference for Agora as we celebrate our 10th years of Agora establishment in the world of RMDs. The 10th conference, we wanted to be in Malta, but due to the pandemic, we couldn't have it there, so we are going digitally. So our hosted for this year is ARAM, the organization for people with RMDs in Malta. As the first one conference has been in Malta, we decided to go on the 10th anniversary conference in Malta again. I would like to thank Aram and Maribella for this warm hosting. And I hope that we will have a very good conference. Also, I would like to thank His Excellency, Dr. George Vella, who is the President of Malta, for doing our opening of the conference. It is an honor for having him on our Agora conference for this year, for our 10 Agora annual conference. Also, I would like to thank the task force members, Mikhail Nudel, Stalo Baba Mikhail, Kati Andonopoulou, Sina Bujeja, Anna Veira, Christina Bankova, and of course our Secretariat Roderick for the great work on conference program. The conference is concentrated on comorbidities and clinical trial. As you have seen, the program has excellent speakers and topics. Last, I would like to thank the supported company, Alpha Public Relations, that they are hosting today's conference. And I will not take more time. The conference will run as scheduled until 4:30 p.m. set. Thank you for being with us this Saturday, and hope we will have fruitful conference. Now we will go to have Maribella welcome speech, which Maribella is the president of ARAM, the Maltese organization.
May I start by thanking Mrs. Mary Vella, President of the Arthritis and Rheumatism Association Malta, for inviting me to be with you today and to make some remarks to launch this opening session
Andri,
of the
just
10th
very
anniversary
that we have
of
problems with the connection of my
In the invitation,
your
there was
laptop.
reference to the fact
So we're
that
going to go
as an
again
ex-general
with-
practitioner and specialist in family medicine for a large number of years, I was expected to carry with me many years of experience, having treated thousands of patients suffering from rheumatic and musculoskeletal conditions. It has to be pointed out, if there is any need to, that as we all know, in the field of medicine, things change. And progress in knowledge of etiology, diagnostic methods, laboratory tests and technology, and hence treatment, is moving forwards with leaps and bounds. We are dealing here with conditions that I dare say, because of their chronic presence, have ruined people's lives, turning them into miserable patients, at times misunderstood, suspected of being hypochondriacs, and at worst trying to avoid work. Rheumatism and musculoskeletal diseases are, as you know, a group of quite enigmatic conditions, even today, let alone 20, 30, 40, or 50 years ago. Today's laboratory tests have helped in clearly defining whether the patient's complaint is psychosomatic or has real etiology. Way back, we only had our clinical acumen, rudimentary X-rays, and a non-specific erythrocyte sedimentation rate test. We had to go more to trusting the patient that he was being honest with us, and only by minimal signs and symptoms like swelling, redness, and limited mobility if there was any. Our treatment then was analgesics, aspirin, eventually steroids, and the never-ending range of ointments, balms, creams, over and above the indigenous folk medicines treatment of lavish use of olive oil at that time, hot packs, cuppings, known as Funtusi, and of course the super healer, the sun. Today we are talking about these conditions with more medical understanding, more background knowledge, better armed and with diagnostic tests, and a whole armamentarium of drugs designed and developed specifically for the different conditions. Yes, different conditions, because today, what was before a generic diagnosis, such as rheumatism, arthritis, or fibromyositis, has developed into a whole range of different conditions that, though possibly related somehow through etiology, merit different treatments and drug therapies. There was a time when rheumatism was frequently met with, typically after streptococcal throat infections, especially in children, sometimes with lifelong complications on heart valves. With the development of labor-intensive industries in the 70s and the 80s, depending on the repetitive body movements to reach production quotas, we experienced lots of musculoskeletal complaints, especially in the upper limbs, due to repetitive movements and because of our lack of knowledge of ergonomics as we know today. All this led to a deterioration in the quality of life, absenteeism from work, obvious negative effect on the earnings of the individual concerned, and the financial consequences. Add to this the frustration of those who were undiagnosed, or at worst, labeled as scroungers or lazy. The psychological effects on these patients must have been immense. Today, the huge prospects for treatment of these rheumatic and musculoskeletal conditions, opened by knowledge of their possible association in varying degrees with autoimmune disease, is crucial when we consider the situation today in regards of quality of life and prognosis. I commend the Arthritis and Rheumatism Association of Malta for embarking as early as 2007 on a campaign of awareness and education of patients suffering from rheumoskeletal diseases. I also fully subscribe to the idea of forming part of a platform for Southern European associations, which I'm sure presents the opportunity to exchange experiences with practitioners and patients coming from the same moderate temperatures as ours. It's a known fact that such conditions fare worse in cold northern temperatures, and presenting symptoms and prognosis as well as treatment could vary. The title of this conference leads me to also to reflect on changing trends in medical practice. In the past, better or no information was given to the patient, and if any was given, it would be mumbled and garbled, making the patient none the wiser. Today we speak not only of a duty to fully inform the patient, but also to include the patient himself and organizations of patients suffering from the same conditions, to participate in the management of the disease itself and the planning of the treatment, whether it's pharmaceutical, physiotherapy, psychological, etc. It is indeed a pity that this meeting is taking place through Zoom. 10 years ago, your representatives enjoyed being physically in Malta. Excuse me. Let us hope COVID-19 restrictions will be gradually lifted, making our life easier. Be that as it may, I wish you all very interesting and fruitful discussions in the interest of achieving a better quality of life for our rheumatic and musculoskeletal patients. Thank you.
Thank you for this great speech from the President of Malta, Dr. George Vella. Thank you, Mary, that you have conducted and you had forced the things to have with us even on a video, His Excellency. And I would like to welcome you because you were not, you weren't here when I welcome all the people on the conference, and thank you very much for your contribution to have this conference even digitally and hosting by your organization, ARAM. And we hope so that we will be able in the future to come in Malta and have the conference there. So until we fix the problem with Ms. Vella, we would like to move on and to give the coordination to Ms. Kadi Andonopoulou, who is going to make the first coordination. And we will see later on with Mary's speech. Thank you.
Okay, good morning to everybody. I'm going to present the session for the comorbidities, and I would like to invite and to call to the floor Professor Kouvelas, who is a professor of clinical pharmacology and general doctor. He's also a director of the Department of Clinical Pharmacology of Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, and now is director and head of the Clinical Trials Unit, which is the first unit in Greece for clinical trials. And so we're fortunately, Professor Kouvelas is going to video, we're going to see Professor Kouvelas through a video because he has another meeting to the ministry, and he sent us his speech videotape. Let's hear and see Professor Kouvelas.
The kind invitation, and I'm very glad I have to speak about comorbidities for several categories of patients belonging to the general condition of rheumatic diseases. So, comorbidities. What is exactly comorbidity? In medicine, comorbidity is the presence of one or more additional conditions, often co-occurring, that is concomitant or concurrent with a primary condition. Comorbidity describes the effect of all other conditions an individual patient may have other than the primary condition of interest and can be physiological or psychological. In the context of mental health, comorbidity often refers to disorders that often coexist with each other, such as depression and anxiety disorders. Comorbidity can indicate either a condition existing simultaneously but independently with another condition, or a related derivative medical condition. Means that the condition can just exist with the other, or can be evoked or exist because of the other condition. The later sense of the term causes some overlap with the concept of complications. For example, a long-standing diabetes mellitus, the extent to which coronary artery disease is an independent comorbidity versus a diabetic complication is not easy to measure because both diseases are quite multivariate and there are likely aspects of both simultaneity and consequence. In other examples, the true independence or relation is not ascertainable because syndromes and associations are often identified long before pathogenic comorbidities are confirmed, and in some examples before they are even hypothesized. However, in many medical examples such as comorbid diabetes mellitus and coronary artery disease, it makes little difference which word is used as long as the medical complexity is duly recognized and addressed. The term comorbid has three main definitions: to indicate a medical condition existing simultaneously but independently with another condition in a patient, means the patient can have rheumatoid arthritis and COVID infection, for example. to indicate a medical condition in a patient that is caused by or is otherwise related to another condition in the same patient means that somebody has a rheumatic disease and has several types of pains as neuropathic pain. And the third, to indicate two or more medical conditions existing simultaneously regardless of their causal relationship. Comorbidities are common among adults with rheumatic diseases like arthritis. Comorbidities usually are examined in two ways. Comorbidities among people with arthritis. Everyone in this group has arthritis and at least one other chronic condition. Arthritis among people with other chronic conditions. People with other chronic conditions such as heart diseases or diabetes who also have arthritis. The unadjusted prevalence of arthritis among adults with the following chronic conditions is obesity in about 31%, diabetes 47%, and heart disease at about half of the population. Treating each condition may be very helpful to confront comorbidity. For example, if a patient with rheumatic arthritis and obesity losing weight, it has a very big benefit concerning his condition of the knees, for example, and the pain he also have when he is walking. Treating diabetes, it can assist very much in all cases of the disorders concerning pain, as for example, different type of pain because it is comorbid with this peripheral neuropathy. And as you can imagine, heart disease is about the same. In the case of a chronic disease, the appearance of a second pathological condition may be comorbidity. The most of the medical doctors are diagnosing a second disease, means that everything is a second disease, but it can be also adverse drug reaction or side effect of the treatment the patient has for his main disease. It can have a drug-drug interaction because we have many times not only one drug, but the treatment needs minimum 2 drugs, so it can exist some kind of drug-drug interaction. Drug, food, or supplement interaction means that somebody who has already a drug for his main condition, he has to eat something, so it can exist some type of drug-food interaction, or many patients are receiving food supplements. So these food supplements or minerals or vitamins can have a drug interaction, an interaction with a drug. And finally, this pathological condition is a result of a contraindication, means that the patient has some other disease and the drug who's administered because of his chronic disease is contraindicating with the other disease, so it is producing a very severe, sometimes new condition. Is it so difficult to define what exactly we have? It is not very easy, but it is not very difficult. So, the true comorbidity. First, we have to diagnose and treat it. How can we diagnose the comorbidity? Searching the literature and the possibilities of the appearance of this second disease in our main condition. After we have to search the literature and exactly define the possibilities of this comorbidity, then we have to have a critical appraisal on this literature and define what exactly is happening to our patient. And then we have to make an assessment for the risk of the different treatments and approach each disease with its own rules. So we have to create a therapeutic algorithm. We are obliged to talk more than one expert with another, and somehow we have to involve a general practitioner because finally he is the responsible for the holistic procedure of the treatment of the patient. The general rule in clinical pharmacology is that we are starting low, means fewer drugs in lower doses, and we are going slow, means that we're adding the substances one by one, and we're increasing the doses in time, waiting at least some weeks to be the patient to accommodate the new treatment. An adverse drug reaction is an unwanted or harmful reaction experienced following the administration of a drug or combination of drugs under normal conditions of use and is suspected to be related to the drug. An adverse event is harm that occurs while a patient is taking a drug, irrespective of whether the drug is suspected to be the cause. So, if finally this second pathological condition is not a comorbidity, but it is an ADR or a side effect, we have to make the proper diagnosis. To the end of my slide, I have the report of this possible adverse drug reaction to the pharmacovigilance mechanism of our where because this is the way we are reporting all these adverse drug reactions, and we have always to be sure that the regulatory organizations are receiving our report. So after we are suspecting this adverse drug reaction, we have to search the literature to see what possibilities exist to happen this adverse drug reaction to our patients, and then we have again to make the critical appraisal of this literature, to define the risk assessment, to have the risk management, and create a new therapeutic algorithm, which normally means to pause this possible harmful drug, or we have to make a reduction of the dose, or to see what is the best treatment for our patient. The drug-drug interaction is a change in the action of or side effects of a drug caused by concomitant administration of another drug. A cause of a drug interaction involves one drug which alters the pharmacodynamics or pharmacokinetics of another medical drug. The general idea is that these two minimum drugs can have a pharmacodynamic interaction, means that one of the drugs can enhance or inhibit the first action to his receptor, or to interfere to the mechanism of the action, or it can change somehow the pharmacokinetics by, for example, affecting the liver function, means that it can inhibit the metabolism, and this is producing higher concentrations and maybe toxic of the first drug, or enhance the metabolism, means that we never have the therapeutic concentration of the drug to our blood. The drug interaction needs again the diagnosis. We have again search thoroughly the literature and make the critical appraisal of our reading, and then we have to produce the risk assessment, the risk management. So to continue with the therapeutic algorithm means that we have to pause or report the interaction. Almost the same is the drug-food supplement interaction. The condition needs again to be diagnosed, again to search the literature, to make a risk assessment, and then create a therapeutic algorithm, normally to pause or decrease this additional food if we cannot change the treatment. Indication is a valid reason to use a certain test, medication, procedure, or surgery. There can be multiple indications to use a procedure or medication. Indication can commonly be confused with the term diagnosis. A diagnosis is the assessment that a particular medical condition is present, while an indication is a reason for the use of the treatment. The opposite of an indication is a contraindication, a reason to withhold a certain medical treatment because the risks of treatment clearly outweigh the benefits. and we have absolute contraindications and relative contraindications. From this, we can assume that the indication, it has to be always absolute, means that we need always a very good reason to start a medical treatment. If we are using a drug for which there is a contraindication to our patient and a pathological condition appears, then we have again to search thoroughly the literature and the possibilities to appear this, to exist this contraindication. We have to make this critical appraisal of the patient and the literature, and finally to produce the therapeutic algorithm for our patient. Normally, if there is a contraindication, we have to stop the treatment and replace it with something better fitted to our patient. So it is not a real reason to have all these strange techniques to define if something, a second pathological condition is a comorbidity, a result of a drug-drug interaction, of a side effect, or just the result of a contraindication. But even if we are not certain with anything, at least we have to remember the procedure to divide and diagnose all these different conditions for the better treatment of our patients. Thank you very much, and I hope to be very careful during all these procedures for our patients. Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon.
We're going to give the floor to Mrs. Athanasia Papa, which is the president, is a patient herself, and is the president of the Hellenic League Against Rheumatism. And this is also a health visitor at the University of Padua. Mrs. Athanasia Papa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for inviting me to speak. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's not a pleasant process, but it's safe. I would love to meet you again. Living with a chronic health condition often means that, just a moment to change. Okay. Living with a chronic health condition often means that you must self-manage and self-regulate not only the condition symptoms, but also the series of comorbidities and that may come with it. Treatment is a big part of managing a chronic long-term health condition like rheumatoid arthritis, but often we are only told by our doctors to take medicine as prescribed or to follow the treatment plan, and that's it. Throughout their journey as patients, people ask themselves questions that affect how they manage our treatment. For example, will there be any side effects? Will their medication impact my ability to do my everyday tasks? How much will it cost me and my family? The most common emerging concerns that are mental and financial burden until people reach the right doctor, fear from the diagnosis of the diseases, refusal to comply with the diseases, refusal to comply with medical instruction like using alternative treatments that are often not disclosed to the doctor, concern about words that can trigger emotions like methotrexate. I'm sorry. People suffering from chronic diseases are obligated to follow the daily medication and to adapt to the new data, which is required by the respective diseases. Therefore, dealing with such a situation requires complex handling so that both the patient and the people around him move smoothly for the previous daily life to a new phase of coexisting with the diseases. Imagine suffering from chronic pain. To be in constant pain at any time of the day, imagine for a second, how would you feel? What would you do? What would be the fluid emotions? And often encourages you in countryside regions is the stigma. that the RMD patients may experience due to the physical appearance, for example, limping, visible inflammation, etc. People in the countryside regions are often forced to isolate themselves. RMD patients experience many emotional, physiological, and physical change in their lives, and their relationships with their partner, their children, and friends can be affected. Our whole life and coexistence with rheumatic diseases can profoundly affect our way of life and its philosophy, and can call into question many former goals and achievements for our life. Parents, for those of us who have children, there are additional issues. Children are the most important people in the life of parents, but the treatment, outbreaks, comorbidities, and fatigue that we feel can have an impact on the parental role. Friends are a very important part of our social life. Some friends may disappoint us. They may not be supportive as we expected. The journey is long and painful at times. This period of our lives could give us the opportunity to make new friends and meet new people. The negative impact of rheumatoid arthritis on sex, life, and sexuality in general is often underestimated. Many patients experience the loss of their sexual function or sexual desire due to the disease itself, through stiffness, pain, surgery, side effects of drugs, and the morbidity. Our patients often feel unforgettable discussing their sexual concerns with their partners or even with their doctors. They may feel that compared to rheumatics, these issues are not so important. The decision to have children when you are a rheumatoid arthritis patient is always a big one. There are several factors that can affect a woman's ability to have a child. A patient with rheumatics may do well during pregnancy, but there is the possibility of flare-ups after giving birth. Therefore, it depends on the type of diseases, the stage of the diseases, and the treatment, the regimens. Talking to the doctor about your desire to get pregnant would help to discover the best time and condition for having a child. Of people with rheumatic disease wants to work. The issue of work is a priority for many of our patients, and not only for them, but also for the general population. From a physiosocial point of view, work can offer the opportunity to reconnect and to regain relationship with friends and colleagues, while for many it's a source of confidence, the most important purpose in their lives. However, for many patients, it's quite difficult to continue working. Many may need to change the started hour, schedule, or type of work. Others lose their jobs. Many patients experience a significant loss of performance or may have developed comorbidities as a result of their treatments or illness. Finding a new job can be a daunting task for some and a necessity for others. Final decision about work should be made after considering our financial research and ensuring our health, the nature of work, and the nature of our treatment and rehabilitation. Pain is a complex, unpleasant, and subjective experience with asthmatic, emotional, and social dimension. It's important to understand that every person experiences the exact same pain in a different way. So, why does it hurt? This is the question that is often asked by people who are in pain, and it's not always easy to answer. Chronic pain brings other problems. Pain in itself is an independent problem. However, when we live in pain for a long time, things can get worse. Pain often limits a person's ability to work, have fun, or even self-care. Many people who suffer from chronic pain quit their jobs, and that leads to serious financial problems. As time goes by, without any solutions, the person may experience further isolation, depression, and dependence from family and friends, which doesn't help the person with the management of both their diseases and life. There are many factors to managing GRA than just taking drugs on time as prescribed, and if your doctor doesn't meet your needs as a patient, then you start having second thought about listening to his instructions. Okay. People may think it's time to switch doctors when they feel that the rheumatologist is no longer listening to them or giving them the support and tools needed for them to put their health first. Little emphasis is given on the state of their conditions. For example, when things feel too transactional with no emphasis on how the disease is progressing, no mention of how the person is coping with her diseases, no room for talking about how they want their medication to change. They feel that there is a lack of privacy during their visits. But changing rheumatology is difficult for a person for many reasons, especially when they must deal with so much more at the same time. Depression, anxiety, self-doubt, and fatigue are very common comorbidities that seriously impact a patient's mental health. So, apart from the medical treatment, a person must develop self-management and skills needed to cope with her daily struggles. Living with the chronic conditions wear down a person's mental capacities over time. Self-managing your mental and physical health, including getting a new project or hobby, exercising daily, walking, swimming, etc., according to your needs and capabilities, keeping family and friends close and involved in social activities as normal, discussing with your boss your health issue and asking if it's possible to occupy yourself with a less tiring work positions, seeking professional mental help for your pain symptoms, find a rheumatologist that makes you feel safe and listen to your concern and needs, take joy with the little things in life, the hours, days, and weeks that you are pain-free. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Papa. It's a very useful information and very useful lecture. Unfortunately, we don't have Professor Kouvelas for questions, but he told me that if you have something, it's very welcome to write to him by email or to send the question to us, and I will forward them to him, and she will going to answer to you directly. Thank you very much, everybody, and let's go again. I hope that now we can hear Marivella, and I'm going to give the floor to Andrei in order to present and coordinate and give the floor to Mary. Thank you very much for all.
Good morning again, Mary. Hope so now we will hear you. Oh, we are hearing you. Thank you. So I was telling before that we are very happy that we have again our 10th conference in Malta. Thank you for all your efforts and all your willingness and warm hosting our conference. Now the floor is yours to listen you and to talk about all of the conference things later.
Thank you, Andrei, and good morning, everybody. A very big welcome and warm welcome from all of us in Malta. I'm very sorry that this had to happen and had disrupted a bit our program, but it's never too late. I thank you all, wherever you are, who are joining us today, being a Saturday, instead of resting, feeling good and full of enthusiasm to hear our guest speakers today in the International Conference of Comorbities and Clinical Trials. We already heard Dr. Anastasia, which was very good, her presentation, and our president who has greeted us this morning. And professors, I didn't hear it so much, but we thank all of the speakers, which I'm sure are going to convey to us much knowledge that will be very beneficial to us in the near future. Unfortunately, for the second year, we have to celebrate Agora conference virtually due to COVID restriction. It is indeed a pity, and very disappointing that we could not meet face to face for this special occasion to celebrate Agora 10th anniversary. We have much wished that we could have celebrated it together as usual, embrace each other and share and network with each other and get to know new people, and while unite with new ones we already knew and have been acquainted with during various conferences we attended. But COVID had limited all this for us. During these last 10 years, to my great satisfaction, I saw Agora organization grow and flourish. It was Marios Koulemos who was the one who worked immensely to bring together all southern countries which share many similarities, as the President has already stated, together under one umbrella. I pay tribute to Maria Bazzao, who is no longer with us, and Sandra Candelo, who worked to lay the groundwork of the bylaws of Agora to be established. I wish to thank all presidents who followed on the footsteps of Susie Marti, who was chosen to be the first Agora president and re-elected again for another 3 years. Thanks to Eva Tisconiatti, Evedeo Constantino, I'm sorry I can't pronounce the surname, and now Andri Pocca, Agora secretariats, members of the committee and working groups who work continuously hard to keep Agora moving forward and pave the way for all southern countries to learn and share from each other and be of support. Sure, it is not always plain sailing. There are ups and downs, but with determination, tolerance, and patience and empowerment, the organization can continue to grow into a hub of training and education as it was meant to be. It is through Agora that the self-management course was introduced to Malta. It was through Agora that we experienced our first transfer of knowledge with another country, Israel, in the year 2019. I am sure that Agora can be the pivot of other opportunities for its member countries. I thank all speakers who generously accepted our invitation to participate during this conference. I thank you very much, Andre, and our committee who have the pleasure to welcome and to host us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Honestly, your welcome speech, it was very cinematic, and I know that you were on the first conference of Agora and on the first steps of Agora together with Miss Susie Magritte, together with Elena, the Secretariat, that you give to the Agora's vision. You gave the soul of Agora, and you with the rest of the people that were on the first board, you start this amazing thing that is Agora with amazing people, and we continue, and we are still here, and we're trying to have a better Agora for the future, in order to have a better future for people with RMDs, especially in the Southern Europe. Thank you again. If you need to say something more, the platform is yours. You can say whatever you want.
I thank you, Andre, and it's a pleasure. I'm very sorry that this morning had to happen.
This can happen to all of us. It's a technology.
Thank you, because we always wanted to get it flowing and organized. We've been trying all week, but these things happen in the last moment. So, I don't have anything to add. Thank you so much. I thank you for all your work. I wish you luck with all your committee and the work members. And I'm sure you will strive. You're still young, and you have new ideas. We already have a layout for the future of Agora, and we look for the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. So shall we continue, Karin? Do we have any questions from our previous lectures?
No, we don't have any questions, but we have to make a coffee break until the exact time of our program, because we're a bit earlier. Maybe
no, we are okay with the time. I think
no,
I can.
It is the next session. It's 11:15.
Okay.
So we have to wait. If you would like me, I can try to call the next two speakers in order to join earlier. But or if you would like me to have, if you would like to have and keep schedule the program. I don't know what you like.
We can skip the schedule of the program, as I can see on the program our next one.
Professor Neville is not joining, and not only, and Anna is not joining. It's not in.
It's on.
Yes, we can.
Sorry, 11 o'clock. Now is the questions or coffee break.
Yes.
We can have a coffee break.
Okay.
But before we go, Katia, I would like to say thank you to Athanasia that she's with us. And I know that all of people with RMDs that are facing some comorbidities due to the pharmacies, due to the medicine sometimes, or due to the disease by its own, make a lot of comorbidities. So thank you, Athanasia, for your presentation. And I think we should do something more about comorbidities in the future of Agora. Thank you, Athanasia.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon again.
Yeah.
Not like
we
that.
Hope so.
Not like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Athanasia. So we will have a break until 11 o'clock, and we will be back at 11. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am from Israel. I'm the CEO of Mifrakim Tzeirim, is the Israeli Association of RMD's patients. I will be the facilitator in this session. And I would like to welcome Professor Neville Kaleya, and he's the head of Department of Public Health and the Faculty of Medicine Surgery in the University of Malta, and a medical doctor and a specialist in public health medicine. Professor Kaleya has 15 years of experience lecturing medical statistics and epidemiology and public health to all healthcare professionals, together with ethical and scientific review of projects and local and international level. So I'm sure that his lecture, Clinical Trials Opportunity of Treat, will be very interesting. Thank you in advance. The stage is yours for the next 20 minutes.
Thank you. If you'll allow me, I'll share some slides that I've prepared for us. Share screen, yes. There it is. Okay, so thanks for the introduction. I've been asked to discuss with you sort of clinical trials. I understand that you do get opportunities to participate in clinical trials, and at least in some of the countries. And I can also understand it may be a daunting decision to take. So I'd like to discuss with you and take you through what it typically involves. I believe the next speaker will be able also to give you first-hand experience herself of this. So I'll be talking more about sort of the principles here, and then I guess Ms. Vieira after me can also, tell you how it felt or how it feels to take part in such clinical trials. So, okay, so basically we're faced with a decision here. You might come across an advert, or your physician might inform you that they're running a clinical trial in the hospital, and you have to decide, should I go, should I not? You know, how safe will I be in the clinical trial? We've heard a lot, you know, especially in these COVID days, a lot of misinformation around clinical trials. I'm not saying that the pharma industry is an angel, of course. It's a business like everything else. But what I can assure you of is that we've come a long way in terms of the regulation of clinical trials over the past decades. And this is something I want to share with you over the next 20 minutes to try and instill some faith into the process of, into the governance framework, really, around the around clinical trials. So usually when developing a medicine, there's a very long time period actually from when you know, the eureka moment happens of finding a new drug that could work actually for a specific disease until it reaches the market. So this period is usually up to 12 years, which is a very long time. Now, when you think about it, usually patents for drugs are limited by time, and that is sort of for a specific reason, so that after a set amount of time, whoever discovered the drug then, you know, would hopefully have recovered his or her costs, and then it would be made available for generic drug manufacturers to start manufacturing that same drug after that patent period expires. Now, there are situations where that might be extended for reasons or another, but in general, we're talking about usually 20 years from the discovery of the molecule, 12 of which go into research. And the parts where clinical trials usually happen are those three stages in the drug development, which are known as phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 research. Phase 1 is where we get the first exposure of humans to the drug. This is usually not patients here. It's usually healthy young males. You might say, why males, not females? It's also because of the risk of problems should the female become pregnant. You know, the drug is still relatively new in humans, so usually females are not exposed to the drug at this early stage. But then phase 2 and phase 3 would require patients, and this is where usually opportunities come up to join clinical trials. Phase 2 are usually studies designed to find the best level, the safety side of things, as in terms of which levels of the drug work best to achieve the clinical endpoints that they would be seeking. Phase 3 is more to compare the new drug with existing drugs. Okay, so is there an advantage or not to switch to this new drug? And then once phase 3 is completed, one goes to apply for a marketing authorization. It might be strange to go back to World War II here, but as strange as it may sound, this is actually one good thing that came out of the atrocities that happened in World War II. As part of the Nuremberg trials, obviously the atrocities of the research that was happening in Nazi concentration camps came to light, and it was very clear that there needs to be a governance framework around clinical research. So we have basically first this initial attempt to set up a framework to regulate clinical trials back in 1947, known as the Nuremberg Code, which is still very much active. We heard it mentioned recently within COVID, unfortunately by the anti-vax group. It was not well founded, but you know, it achieved limelight again recently, these last few months. So I will be sharing these slides with the organizers so that they may share them with you if you need. So I've tried to include as much information in these slides as you wish for your own reading later on, but basically these are the principles of the Nuremberg Code, the ones that you see in front of you. This was not the last step, of course, this was the first step. So then this moved on and it evolved a lot. 1964, World Medical Association adopted its own set of biomedical research guidelines, which are much applicable you can see what time too much on these wordy slides. In the US,
we are having some technical problems with Professor Kalea. Can you help us, the technical support, please?
I think I just rejoined. Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 thank you.
Okay, I put up my slides again. I hope you can see them. Can you see the slides?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay, I'll go on then. So basically then in the US, we had another relatively nasty experiment, not related to World War II, but it was unfortunately a badly implemented experiment that was not stopped for several decades on a deprived population in the US. So again, we had a similar push towards a governance framework for clinical trials known as the Belmont Report, issued in 1974. So what am I trying to do here? I'm not trying to give you a history lesson, but just to show you that the regulation of clinical trial comes a long way, and there's a lot of experience since last 20 years or so. We've seen a lot of since the turn of the century, I would say, since 2001. Lately, we don't have an EU regulation. I'm not sure if you appreciate the difference between a regulation and the directive. The directive is up to member states to implement partly or fully. A regulation is implementable in full across EU member states. So basically, this governance framework has been upgraded in 2014 and came into effect in 2018. The idea has been basically we've learned from the experience of the 2001 legislation, which was, I would say, very safe for the patient, but was also introducing several delays in the process and in a way hindering research to some extent because it made it very cumbersome for the researchers. Now I think there's a good balance between keeping that element of safety for the patient almost pretty much untouched, whilst making it easier also for researchers to start research, because ultimately, if you stifle research, it's useless having a governance framework in the first place. Again, in those countries that are within the EU or the EA, the agency that regulates these matters is the European Medicines Agency, now based in Amsterdam, following Brexit. It was based in London before. It regulates clinical trials and also marketing authorization of medications for both human and veterinary use. Now, this agency comprises then in itself several national competent authorities. So every member state has a competent authority. In Malta, for example, we have an authority called the Medicines Authority, which does this work on behalf of EMA. In all your member states, in all your countries, you'll probably have similar competent authorities these days. I put a list there again for your reference at a later stage. So when, as Michael was telling you, I've been sitting on ethics committees for more than a decade now around clinical trials. Basically, when is a decision taken by an ethics committee to proceed with a clinical trial? Effectively, these are the principles that guide the decision. From an ethical perspective, there needs to be sufficient doubt about the test product to justify withholding it from half or part of the population taking part in the clinical trial. And on the other hand, you have to have sufficient belief from those studies that have been done as part of preclinical research that the sponsor of the trial usually submits to us for analysis, enough belief in the product and its potential to justify exposing several of the study participants to it. So this is a balance here. We have some doubt, but we also have some certainty. And as long as that balance remains balanced, okay, the clinical trial moves ahead. Once that imbalance is not in balance anymore, so we have clear benefit or else we have clear harm, then the clinical trial stops. Okay, and we'll talk about also these stopping rules in the next slide. On the other hand, for the sponsor, it needs to be feasible. Now, this can be a bit of a problem when it comes to orphan diseases or rare diseases, because obviously recruiting enough patients can be quite difficult and involve several centers. Also, it's actually now against the law in most of our countries that a company proceeds with a clinical trial without clearance by regulatory authorities. These frameworks exist nowadays, even in low and middle income countries to some extent. So I would expect that our respective countries have frameworks in place, even if they are not part of the EU. We discussed this balance between harm and benefit. Okay, so usually, especially the longer clinical trials, there would be what is known as a data safety board that follows the progress of the trial, does what we call interim analysis of the patients. Is the active group doing significantly better than the placebo group or the comparator group, or worse for that matter, okay? And if there is a clear distinction between the two, a trial may be stopped. I could give you an example here. I'm not sure how many of you were around when AZT was being developed for HIV. AZT, there were two separate big clinical trials happening in the US and the UK, and the patients having on the active group were showing very significant benefit as opposed to those receiving placebo or standard treatment. In one of the trials, this difference was very distinct, and the trial was stopped, I think in the US, if I remember correctly. In the UK, it didn't seem like this difference was significant enough, or at least the board felt it's not time to stop yet. And this obviously created some problems. In fact, the UK trial had to fold anyway because of the findings of the US, but that's a different story. But this is just to show you that these clinical trials are usually actively monitored through their duration to assess whether there is clear harm or clear benefit. I remember another clinical trial, which we had here actively happening in Malta for an antibiotic, I remember for pneumonia. And at one point, it had not yet started in Malta, actually, because we were one of the later centers. But at one point, many of the patients having this drug were developing renal failure. and the trial was simply stopped within a few weeks, obviously because it was leading to more harm than benefit, and the drug was shelved. So this is just to try and give you more trust into the processes involved. As an ethics committee, we would basically be looking at particularly what you could call the protocol of the study. Okay, so what's the study trying to achieve? Who will be invited for the study? What will happen in the study? What are the rules applicable? What information will be captured and stored, and for how long? What kind of risk protection will there be? Insurance in place, compensation for patients should anything go wrong, and how long the study will last. These are, I think, the main points that we will So, to join a clinical trial, what should you expect? All right. So when you enroll, when you're asked to enroll into a clinical trial, you're usually first recruited or approached, but maybe by your physician. Then you go through a screening process. Why? Because we need to ascertain that you are within the inclusion criteria and not within the exclusion criteria. We'll talk a little bit about this later. So the exclusion criteria would be maybe criteria that make you expose you to more danger than you should be exposed, and maybe taking part in that clinical trial is not for you, and ultimately giving your informed consent. Okay. How would you be informed about clinical trials? I mentioned your own physician, but you might also actively within the EU announced. Again, this is something that many COVID misinformers not know when discussing vaccines, that every clinical trial in the US and in the EU is actually publicly available. The information around it is publicly available. And you can look them up.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can you go 2 slides back, please?
The first link is the EU one. Yes.
We couldn't hear you. Can you go 2 slides back, please? There is interruption on the line. Very bad.
This one. Is it this one you're referring to?
No, one. Try another one. The next one. Yeah.
This one you want it? Yes. Okay. So as I was explaining earlier, these are the 3 stages we would expect to go through when enrolling in a clinical trial. So the initial approach, the screening process, and the informed consent. I will be explaining these very, very soon. This we discussed. These are the databases for clinical trials. Okay. Now, in some instances, there is advertising for participation in clinical trials. I know in some countries it's more common than in others. Okay. When there is advertising, there are certain principles that need to be in place. Okay, we need to know who is running the clinical trial, for what purpose, on what disease, who is eligible and who should not take part, what kind of tests or what kind of examinations will I be getting as a participant of the clinical trial, how long will I be involved, And are there any patient groups that I could refer to for further information? So these are usually the principles that we expect to see in an advert. Now you might say, come on, a little advert in the newspaper having all this information. In fact, most of the time, they would give you a link to a website or a telephone number you can contact and get more of this information. What it must not do is definitely promise anything, all right, like a cure or a good outcome, or that the medicine being tested is 100% safe and that it definitely works, because otherwise we would not be doing a clinical trial. And even worse, be coercive, especially when it comes to vulnerable patients. Okay, so we spoke about inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. Usually these are defined in terms of age, sex, the type of diagnosis. What we're trying to do here is to identify a group of similar patients, okay? Just to make sure that we don't get differences that we might not be able to explain, so to say. And we need to have comparable patients, of course, between the new drug and the established drug.
We lost you again.
I am very, very sorry about my connection. I really don't know what's happening.
Maybe
can you hear me now?
Yes, and maybe put off the camera.
I will indeed. It's a good idea. So I missed my camera. So I won't keep you too long because I'm running out of time. But basically, the next part is a very important part because this is the process. Okay, so the
I'm sorry, Professor, we lost you again. Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think you was telling me I was out of time, or
you have more 2 minutes.
Well, 2 minutes. All right. Yeah. So quickly, just last few slides. Okay, I'll go quickly to what we probably should be looking for. All right. So the purpose, as I said, the treatment that is being given, how you'll be assigned which treatment group, and procedures to my responsibility as participant. For example, in some clinical trials, they might have to be taken. Okay, anything that's experimental, that is sure need to be clearly risks. Okay, expected benefits, of course. And also, if you're not receiving the active drug, or rather the new drug, what are you getting? Are you getting placebo? Are you getting established treatment? And lastly, also,
sorry,
that is available
we cannot hear you very well.
Event of what we call I'll go to a few slides. Okay, so I'll conclude at this point. Sorry about the connection. I was not expecting this. But basically, I'll share the slides also with the organizers so that they can share them with you as participants as well. Effectively, in conclusion, what I was trying to explain to you is that there is a very strong governance framework around clinical trials. There's very little room for abuse. And basically, it's a win-win situation for a patient with a chronic disease. Okay, so a patient with chronic disease who might have exhausted existing treatment pathways. You get the chance to try a new drug which might actually work for you, for the researcher, of course, and for the community at large. You are helping new treatments to become available for the condition you might have. So I'll leave you with that. I hope, I'm really sorry about the connection, but I hope I managed to give you some peace of mind that maybe there is more of an opportunity than a threat, because many of the threats have been addressed by years of experience building a governance framework around clinical trials. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I'll give back the floor to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm sorry about the connection too. I would like to say to all the participations that the whole conference will be available at the website of Agora once we will finish, and everyone can see the conference again. And now, without any more delay, I'm sure that and hope that everyone knows our Ana Valeria from Portugal. Ana has so many titles of volunteer work that if I start, I will not finish until tomorrow. And I'm sure that we want to hear her. She's a very busy bee. Ana will speak about clinical trials from the patient's perspective. And the stage is yours, and you have 10 minutes, of course, and after it, we will, if we will have time and questions, we will deal with that. Ana, please.
Thank you, Michal, for the very nice welcome. I will try to share my screen now. Please let me know if you can see my slides now.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so please keep in mind that just like Michal said, I am in Portugal and the location is important in this. In Portugal, we do not have advertising of clinical trials at all at the moment. We're still a very conservative country in this aspect. So what I've tried to do here was share with you my experience of a clinical trial that is still ongoing. So here I will try to give you a very general overview of the trial I have been involved in. It's a phase 2 clinical trial that for primary Sjogren's syndrome, which is my condition. Professor Neville clearly explained what phase 2 was all about. So we are testing safety and efficacy of the drug here. The drug I am receiving is known as iscalimab, which is an immunosuppressive therapy that targets the proteins CD154 and CD40 that are believed to have a role in inflammation and in the regulation of the immune system. This is a 6-arm trial, double-blinded, randomized with placebo. It's a multi-center trial, this meaning that it's running in different countries. We have 2 cohorts in this trial. In the total of 2 cohorts worldwide, they expect to enroll 260 participants, which is a very optimistic number, I suppose. Because Sjogren's syndrome is a low prevalence disease and very heterogeneous, so finding similar patients, it's really difficult, just like Professor Neville stated. when what comes to rare diseases or low prevalence diseases. So in cohort 1, just so you can have a clear idea why there's 2 cohorts. In cohort 1, there are 3 different doses being tested. 150 milligrams, 300, 600, and placebo, of course, and you have 25% of possibilities of getting the placebo in this cohort 1. On cohort 2, they are only testing the 600 milligrams dose, and there's a 50% possibility of getting the placebo. This drug is administered under your skin. It's a subcutaneous administration. It's 2 injections every time you go to the hospital in different places. And they alternate. I mean, it's in your arms, your belly, and your legs. It's a 48 weeks trial, and the 48 weeks ended for me in August, on the 12th of August, on my birthday. Now I'm on a follow-up period of almost 3 months, just to see how my body reacts without the drug. And I have been proposed an extension period of almost 2 years. So this meaning that in December, I will start again receiving the drug. The important and very positive aspect of this trial is that at the middle of the trial, so at the 24 weeks, all patients will be receiving the drug. This meaning that those that were previously on placebo, they will get the drug, and it has not always been like this. In the past, those on placebo will stay on placebo for the entire trial, I mean. So I also thought about sharing with you what were my motivations to join this trial. And because there was no advertising about it, I just heard about it from my doctor. Because he had nothing to offer to me. There's no drug approved for Sjogren's syndrome. I take Lakinol and prednisone every day, but it was not enough to manage my symptoms. So he exhausted all possibilities and mentioned this trial to me. And because I wanted very much to improve my quality of life and to get the best care possible, I didn't think twice to enroll on this trial, because I knew I would get access to a brand new therapy. Also, I had this strong feeling of knowing that cooperating with this, I would be helping to make this new drug available if the outcome is positive, to have a drug in the market for other patients to have access to, keeping in mind that for Sjogren's syndrome, there's no approved drug so far. Of course, there are concerns, and safety was my major concern, because I wanted very much that it would not interfere in the current stage of my condition. I didn't want it to make it worse than it was. And as you know, just like every other therapy, side effects are always there, and especially on a new therapy that is unknown, it can have unpredictable impact in your life. I've brought you just a few examples. I got the COVID vaccine, but I had no serological response. This means I'm waiting for the 3rd dose now, but we don't know if it will work. I had bowel and bladder complications after I started this trial, rosacea, among other symptoms. So side effects, it's part of the package, but you're not always prepared to deal with that. One thing I believe it's important also is to have someone to talk to at the hospital you are enrolling in the clinical trial, someone who can answer your questions throughout the study. It's quite reassuring, especially if you have your doctor's support on the decision, and I can assure you this was a shared decision between me and my doctor. I didn't felt at any time persuaded to enroll. I really wanted to do it because I knew there weren't many or any alternatives. So having my questions answered throughout the study was of great value to me. Not only my doctor, but also the clinical trial coordinator was always there for me. She's always available on WhatsApp, whether it's a Sunday or a Wednesday morning or late in the night. She's always there for me. And this is quite of value. So health benefits, it's an important consideration when you participate in a clinical trial. I've just mentioned this before. So because it provides you a drug, a therapy, a treatment, or a medical device that potentially could improve the quality of my life. Logistics, it's another aspect that is very important and to keep in mind. In my case, I live 140 kilometers away from the hospital. I have to go there every 2 weeks if there isn't any emergency in the middle of the 2 weeks. This meaning that every time I go to the hospital, go and coming back home, it's 300 kilometers of drive, and this really is a burden. I get home really fatigued, it's time consuming, and it does have a certain impact in my daily activities, in my work, and so on. So this is an aspect you must keep in mind when you take the decision. And I wasn't very much aware of the dimension of the burden this would be for me, but it's something I thought I could bring here. Another aspect, it's the patient centricity. When you are in a clinical trial, you get a better patient pathway, you get a top quality of care that you don't get in your daily clinic when you are not in a clinical trial. So it's important that the industry or the promoter of the drug has the ability to truly embrace patients as partners. And this has a lot to do with the medical professionals that are involved in the research team. So talking with doctors, clinical trial coordinators, and nurses involved in the research really helped me, and I think it would very likely help patients feel more like a partner in the research. Talking not only with medical professions, but also with other patients like me, or a patient organization or company responsible for the project could be motivating and reassuring, I believe, although I don't have this experience, but I thought this could be a game changer when you are in a clinical trial.
Anna, 2 minutes.
Okay. So it's all about well-informed decisions. It's very important to have good information before you decide to participate in a clinical trial. I brought you here different ways where information should be available. And I'll just call your attention for the last one, which is receiving information from a patient organization could be a game changer, because we don't have this in Portugal, and possibly the same happens in other countries. It's still a taboo to be involved in a clinical trial, and there's a lot of misconceptions around it. So improving communication is really, really very important for patients. There's low health literacy, as you all know, and informed consents are a very difficult document to read and to understand. This needs to be improved, and patient organizations should be involved in promoting a better study designs. So my conclusion is that better study designs, approaches, and services should be focused on the needs and preferences of patients, and they can improve clinical research participation and help the advancement of the development of medicine and medical devices. Thank you. Overall, my experience is positive, and I will be happy to take questions from now on.
Okay, so I can't see if we have questions. Please, if anyone have questions, write it down on the QA, and we will ask Anna. I would like to say something that Professor Neville just wrote us, that many clinical trials may also cover expenses to travel, for example. So it needs to be asked the people who are involved in these clinical trials. And I would like to say that was very important what you said about the organizations, but it needs to be a very comfortable and a very good way to an organization to know that there is trials and to keep in touch with the doctors that are doing these trials, because otherwise you don't have any way to know that it's going on.
Absolutely agree, Michal. That's the very first and very big obstacle that needs to be overcome. If there's no advertising, no information anywhere, how can we build a bridge with the patient organizations?
Yeah, so we have a question. Why is it a taboo to participate in a clinical trial? You said it's taboo. And how does society look at this? Look at this.
So when I say it's a taboo, because there's little to no information, and this generates misinformation. So patients and families and carers, when they think of a clinical trial, they immediately think they're going to be a lab mouse, and they see only threats, and they can't see the opportunities a clinical trial can bring to the patient. It's not only the drug or the therapy that can benefit you, but the assistential care you get from the hospital. So it's really totally different. It's a top care you receive there. So there's always someone you can connect to at any time of the day, at any day of the week. In my case, I had to wear a bracelet that was connected to the internet, so at any time they could check on my blood heart rate and sleep rates and a lot of information at a distance. They can monitorize me, and you don't get this on your daily clinic. You don't have a team totally available for you 24 hours a day or 7 days a week. So it's not only the drug, but the quality of care you get when you are in a clinical trial. And this information should be disseminated, and taboos should be cleared out. And this is all about information. But it's a cooperation. It's not on patient organization side. There should be a cooperation between patient organizations, doctors, and the drug promoters, the pharma industry. So to make the society understand clinical trials are needed to address a series of conditions that have no drugs or little drugs to manage these conditions. I hope I've answered the questions.
I'm sure that you did. Yeah, just wanted to say it. Thank you. We have 1 minute, please, Professor.
No, just a quick comment in addition to what Anna has just answered. I agree fully. It's fear of the unknown, which is why I wanted to dedicate most of my presentation to the regulatory process and the governance framework around clinical trials. Anna has highlighted another aspect, and I'm glad she did rather than I did, the increased attention that you're going to get also whilst participating in the clinical trial, apart from the opportunity, of course, to access a new drug, which may make you feel better. It's important that we emphasize the word may, okay? And ultimately, you're also helping fellow patients with having more drugs available at a later stage in time. So this is really the issue around the participation in clinical trials. It's fear of the unknown, which is why you need to ask as a person of trust, maybe your physician, as to what it will involve exactly in detail before signing on the dotted line.
Thank you very much to Anna and to Professor Professor Kaleya. We will go to a very long break now to have lunch, and we will be here at 1:15. Please be here even 2 minutes before to the schedule to have a good course until we finish. Have a good appetite. I don't know. Have a good lunch, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. See you soon.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Hope so you have a nice lunch and some relaxing time and stretching time on your homes. And I really miss the lunch that we should have together and the discussions, our discussions during lunch. But what to do? At least we had one hour to rest. And now we are going to have some more presentation regarding clinical trials. And this session is going to be coordinated by me. And we will have with us a video because Mrs. Maria Duterte, the president of UPATI, couldn't be with us today. So we have a record presentation from her. And then we will have a round table and small presentations from me and Ms. Marivella. And also we have with us Ms. Alice Groschin. So let's go to see the video from Ms. Maria Duterte about UPATI, and then we continue with the other presentation. Thank you.
Dear participants, my name is Maria Duterte and I coordinate the European Patients Academy UPATI. I'm honored to be speaking to you today at the Agora Annual General Meeting and International Conference. UPATI is a patient-led multi-stakeholder partnership providing patients with information and training on medicines research and development. The driving force of UPATI is the idea that involving patients in medicines research and development has important benefits. By bringing in their priorities and perspectives, patients can contribute to developing better treatments for themselves and others. To enable this, it is essential that patients have thorough knowledge of the processes and methods by which medicines are developed and brought to the market to understand where and how they can make a meaningful impact. We have seen that providing training about these processes empowers patients to work effectively with the relevant stakeholders and therefore contributes to meaningful patient engagement. The UPATI Patient Expert Training Program was developed 4 years ago, and as of today, over 200 persons across Europe have graduated from this program. The impact of the UPATI Patient Expert Training Program has been significant. Our expert patients, so-called UPATI Fellows, have taken leading roles in patient involvement in medicines R&D. For example, UPATI Fellows have engaged in advisory roles, acted as trainers and speakers at conferences, been involved in health policy advocacy, started community advisory boards, assisted and advised their own and other patient organizations. While UPATI is not directly involved in clinical trials, our fellows are actively working with researchers and the industry on improving, for example, informed consent documents, reviewing trial protocols, and contributing to trial designs. They are also engaged in collaboration with regulators and HTA bodies. And we are constantly developing new materials and new training modules to further enhance the knowledge of patients. In a summary, UPATI is committed to increasing patient engagement in medicines R&D through education and training. I'd like to invite you all to consult our trainings at our website, upati.eu, and contact us for more information. Thank you, and I wish you a very fruitful and interesting conference.
Thank you to Ms. Tutart that she explained us what is the clinical trial, what is the EUPATI association. So now we are going on my presentation. I'm going to talk about EUPATI national platforms. I am a EUPATI fellow. I have just finished the EUPATI course, and I have a small experience on how it's the development of actual clinical trial, and also I am a member of the EUPATI national platform in Cyprus. So give me 1 minute to share my screen. So as I said, in Cyprus, we have the EUPATI national platform, and I am a member of the board of the platform. So as Ms. Tutarte said, the European Patients Academy on Therapeutic Innovation, EUPATI, is a multi-stakeholder public-private partnership originally launched by the IMI EUPATI project during 2012 and 2017, and hosted by the European Patients Forum, EPF, from 2017 to 2020. EUPATI is today established as an independent non-profit foundation in the Netherlands. It is a successful program that provides education and training to increase the capacity and capability of patient and patient representatives to understand and meaningfully contribute to medicines research and development, R&D, and to improve the availability of medical information for patients and other stakeholders. The vision of EUPATI is to enhance education and empower the patient to undertake a more active role in all stages of the R&D process and in advocacy, to encourage the dialogue between all different stakeholders, patients, industry, regulators, policymakers, and foster successful partnership for optimum patient-centered care. As patients are experts in their disease, this is the mission of EUPATI Cyprus. They should be involved in the decision-making process that affect healthcare in Cyprus. The mission of EUPATI Cyprus is to educate, empower, and enable the patient to be involved in healthcare policymaking and in the decision-making process which affects the patient's lives. The first steps that we have to make for the EUPATI to become a reality in Cyprus, we had to make a meeting. So in July 2019, we make a first meeting with 3 patient representatives that were EUPATI fellows. 2 were EUPATI fellows plus me that at that time I was taking my course, 1 academic, and 1 representative of industry. On that meeting, we define our objectives, and we make a decision that we have to make a statute of the national patron in Cyprus, and we had to sign it. We agreed that we had to ask the support of OSAC, the Federation of Patient Organizations, to support us as a new platform and to support and to empower us and to give us the ability to inform the patient organizations in Cyprus. So in December 2020, we established as a legal entity. And after that, we had to inform our potential members, organizations, academic institutions, the industry, who we are, what we represent, and what is our vision. And in June of 2021, we managed, with the help from the Federation of Patient Organization, we have to have our virtual launching in June 2021. And we have a lot of participants, and the participants were from patient community. We have academics, industry, and clinician also. And after that launching, we start getting applications from other organizations in order to be members of UPADI, and now we have 15 members. So in the pipeline, we have we must do a business plus, and this is under development. We have asked for a meeting with the synod of the deans. This is very important for us in order to have the academic help in UPADI. We applied for a grant to the Ministry of Health because we need a grant in order to make the tool case, because UPADI has a tool case that can help our member organizations to educate more patients, to be active and to be able to negotiate on advocacy about whatever they want to advocate on the health industry. So, and we are asking from the ministry to fund us. And we make a collaboration between a project, an Accelerate project that started in Cyprus with a European commissioner and some academics from around Europe, which is focusing on vaccines due to COVID-19. And we, together with the UPADI, our platform, together with UPADI, we make a collaboration on this project, and we are very proud that we are taking action to this project. So this is a photo from our launching in Cyprus, the launching. So it was very successful, as I said. We have around 40 participants. And thank you, and that's all from Cyprus. So I will stop sharing. So as I said, this is a UPADI national platform. And now we will hear Mary Vella, who is a UPADI fellow, not only president of ARAM, but it's also a UPADI fellow, to hear from her regarding her experience with UPADI and with clinical trials. We are all here and we can listen to you, Mary.
Thank you, Andre. Yes, I can introduce myself. I am Mary Vella, as Andre said. I'm the president of Arthritis of Association, but also a UPADI fellow and the UPADI expert, a patient expert. It all started in the year 2015. But before we discuss a bit what is UPADI, because there is a lot of misunderstandings that they think that UPADI is a patient organization, but it isn't. It is an innovative medicine initiative that started a project of 5 years, a strong multi-stakeholders consortium of patients, organization, academia, NGO, and industry. And under it, there were 33 organizations. Next slide, please. The key objectives was, because already Andre had mentioned, and even, what's her name? Alice, not Alice, the other one, the first one, in Maria Durte, she also mentioned the objectives to develop and disseminate objective, credible, correct, and up-to-date public knowledge about medicines, research, and development. And this was the aim of UPATI, to train patients. Next slide, please. So what was the objective and why was UPATI needed? It was innovation to transform the lives of patients with serious lifelong conditions. And it opened the window for patients for clinical designs, relationship between researchers, regulators, industries, and patients. Next slide, please. So my journey started with the patient expert training course. So why did I take this course? I was always very interested in medicine research. So I was one of the second cohort. It was 150 and 172 to 175 hours of e-learning and 8 days for 2 face-to-face meetings over a period of 14 months. Next slide, please. I'm going to speak a bit UPATI in Malta. UPATI was launched in Malta in 2014, and I became a UPATI expert after my graduation in December 2016. I became part of the national UPATI platform, representing the patient. There was already the academic and the pharma, and there was another one who was not a patient, but she was representing the patient. So I was the second to, maybe we used to shift. When she couldn't go, I could go. So we were 2 representatives of each. We have 2 representatives of patient, for academia, and for pharma. This allowed me to deliver presentation to different patient groups, professional organizations, lectures to university, students to raise awareness about UPATI, and that people can access the module for more information. Next slide, please. With the medical profession, we encourage them to promote the UPATI site, since it is a reliable and an easy site to follow for information on medicines, since people like to surf the internet for medical information. And as we all know, that the internet doesn't always give a scientifically proven meaning. The toolbox, which was the cool toolbox, it was fact sheets, detailed papers, presentation, power presentation, videos, illustration, and glossary. It was translated into 7 languages, I think. We also translated this UPATI 2 in Maltese. 12. Yes. Next slide, please. Role of UPATI Fellow. What is the role? What is the UPATI initiative? The rollout UPATI initiative on a national level, as the rollout of UPATI initiative on a national level is to explain the toolbox, encourage more patients and involvement in research and development, and patient assistance in text for lay people. A UPATI fellow converses fluently with patients, physicians, and health authorities. Encourage more patients to follow UPATI fellowship, since the more UPATI fellows there are, the stronger the patient votes. That means when you become a UPATI fellow, you will be registered in a register, and you start receiving lay summaries. So you start giving to translate them and to review them to be in lay language, so that the patient will understand them. Next slide, please.
Not another slide.
No, okay, that's the end. Yes, and it doesn't matter. I was invited also at the EMA, European Medicine Authority. I was invited 4 times, and there you will sit on a board and you will review the medicine. They give you the literature before. It's always very confidential, but I also was invited in with other private companies to do like a trials, and if they are right working on a new medicine, that we could give our experience on the, if we are they are doing medicine for rheumatoid arthritis, and we give our experience on that disease. Otherwise, we are encouraged to encourage more patients to take the course and to be involved, especially on the national level, especially, and in Malta, up to now, we are not invited on decision making and on the board. But hopefully, although we had signed a memorandum with the university or at the Medicine Authority, but we still are not involved. But hopefully, in last month, we had a face-to-face meeting, and we were invited, and hopefully we will have negotiation so that we will be involved. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. We are going to listen Alice also, and then we will discuss all together.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next one is Alice Grosjean, if I am telling correct your surname. Alice is the president of Sjögren Europe, and Sjögren Europe is a federation of organizations for the disease, for Sjögren disease. So we are going to listen here about what is therapeutic patient education. Thank you, Alice. We can listen you now.
Hello, thank you for the invitation. It's nice to be with you today. Welcome to my presentation about therapeutic patient education. So I'm Alice Grosjean, I'm a patient. I'm the president of Sjögren Europe, and I have a diploma of advanced studies in patient education from the University of Geneva. So what is therapeutic patient education? Therapeutic patient education is also simply called patient education. It's the same. It aims to help and support the patients to better manage their illness. It's the process of influencing patient behavior and producing the changes in knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to maintain or improve health and quality of life. In that process, patient is an equal partner, and any intervention is by mutual agreement, of course. It's a humanist approach. Yes. So therapeutic patient education is defined by the World Health Organization, and it refers to scientific discipline in the medical field. It should enable patients to acquire and maintain abilities that allow them to optimally manage their lives with their disease. Patient education is a scientific health approach, a care practice drawing on many currents of thought that underpins a global approach to the situation of a person with a chronic disease, taking into account his or her needs, expectations, possibilities, and environment in their physical, psychological, cultural, and social dimensions. So in summary, it's human sciences applied to medicine. So it's coaching and education to help the patient to change and to adapt and to live with a disease. Education is more than information or teaching. What I do right now, for example, is pure information. It's not education. Education is more dynamic and interactive and will activate the thinking at a deeper level. Patient education is practiced by trained health professionals, all kinds of health professionals, and trained patients like I am. In patient education, there are 3 new paradigms. When we are patients, we often lose control over our lives and feel powerless. So patient education is to give power to patients so that they can have an identity consistency. By this, I mean it should be adapted to the patient, personalized, and consistent with him or her, his life, beliefs, priorities, etc., etc. It's also to give sense to health and disease. Having a disease change a lot of things in our lives, we lose sense sometimes with disease. So to give back some sense and to treat then not a patient, but a healthy person with a disease. It's also sharing power among all caregivers. It means to work with interdisciplinarity. Interdisciplinarity is to handle the complexity of chronic disease, because also many abilities that patients have to learn are transversal to many disciplines. So we try not to have an addition of disciplinary projects, but a global project for the patient, to which all caregivers contribute. So as you see, information and teaching are part of patient education, and patient education is part of healthcare. And the aim is self-management, empowerment, coping, and at the end, resilience. EULAR have recommendations for patient education for people with inflammatory arthritis. They recommend that patient education should be an integral part of standard care. And they also recommend that patient education should be the start point and underpin all self-management interventions. So patient education, it's all kinds of pedagogical and coaching methods. And it's also, for example, integrating adaptability and philosophical skills to cope with the disease. As it is a scientific health approach, there is a need for standards. Patient education can be improvised. There is a methodology. As you see, it's a process with key steps. And this process may be repeated as many times as it is needed. So there are specific techniques of interviews. We call them empathetic and active listening, to make the interviews to understand the patient, what it is for him or for her exactly, how he sees his life with the disease and what he wants, needs. We analyze the interviews with a qualitative analysis. There is a methodology from human sciences, especially psychology and sociology. We establish a problematic, talk about, and we establish the needs in patient education. We establish the skills to be developed. We make adapted content and methods. We evaluate them. It's very important. And we start over as long as it is needed for the patient. So this is a short summary of what is patient education. So that's all for me for today. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Really, it's a very informative presentation. Thank you very much, and very interesting for our today topic. And because we all know that people, especially patients that wants to act as on the advocacy, has to be educated. In these days, for having people advocates and really to build stronger organizations, you have to be educated. And this is becoming more and more mandatory in our organizations. And we have to find also the patients and the people that they are interested in this field, because you have to spend time and effort to become educated and to be well known of what's going on in this field. So we have a question. Now we can receive questions. And we will make a small discussion. We have one question to all of us. Is just a minute to see it. How or if association not in your party, how can they see the toolbox? And this is to Mary's presentation. Mary, do you know how somebody that is not your party fellow can see this toolbox?
Yes, it's open to the public. It's open to the public, and they can go on the website of the party, and there they can find the toolbox in their language. We said it's translated in 12 languages, and they can find their language and they can go over it. And if they want, for example, a certain medicine, they want to know about a certain medicine, they type the name of the medicine and they will get to know everything on that medicine. Yeah. The toolbox search, because if instead of the patient surfing the internet and are misled or misguided of the proper scientific meaning of the medicine or whatever of the disease.
Yeah,
it was designed for that reason.
And also I would like to inform people that now the UPADI training is open.
Yes.
And they can, whoever wants to educate and make the training, they can do it on their own time. It's on UPADI's website, and they can go there and find the way and how they can be trained by this program. And we have a second question is, can a local patient association incorporate and have strategic alliance with UPADI? As I know, they have to be only with UPADI national platform, not the UPADI, as UPADI can make association with organizations, make only the training, the UPADI, and then that's why the UPADI national platforms was created, so the organizations and the academy and the industry can make strong platforms for UPADI. So Mary, how many times did you make, was part of a development on research? did you have the chance to be on any clinical trial
no.
on any development of clinical trial?
Yes, development, design sort of, but not in a clinical trial. I never participated in a clinical trial, but when I am invited to the EMA, the European Patient Medicine Authority, they will be manufacturing a new medicine for arthritis. And they will send me an email where I am invited to participate. They will send me the literature to study, and then I give my views. My views, when the how we say it, the manufacturer is presenting the layout and the design of the medicine, and I will review how if it's targeting our disease, and if new targets, and I could say what new targets or new things could be involved and introduced in the medicine for the patients to work effectively and safely. The evaluate will be a board.
Yeah, and how much did the training help you?
Yes.
Because we know you that you are an advocate or for many years, okay, and you have a lot of experience, but how much more did the training help you to be better and to know, improve your knowledge on medicines, and how is the development of medicines in your role as advocate?
Even though I was a nurse, I am retired now. You have medical knowledge, but on medicines, I didn't have nothing. So this course has helped me to understand how medicine is manufactured. I never knew that medicine takes 12 years to be manufactured, and all the procedures that has to take to be authorized on the market.
And why is taking the 12 years?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, because of the COVID, there was this misunderstanding because it only took 1 year. But we know that with the advance of medicine and with technology, procedures can be made faster and more easy to understand.
And everybody focused on that, on COVID. So
yes,
they didn't do anything else. They only focused. Yeah.
But that's why it's very important now that patients should be trained more, so that we could study more in deeply how COVID also affected us as patients, and even the vaccine, how it's going to affect us. So the involvement of the patients is very important. So I will encourage even those who are hearing us to enroll and have the course. There are the patients course and there's the professional. There's the professional is 2 days course, intensive course, so that the professional will understand the patient, and the patients will be informed so that they will be educated, as I said. It's very important that the patient, when he's sitting on board, and especially on decision making, they will be well informed and they will know how to speak and to understand what's going on.
And it's that the time that they will, the academic and the governments, they will take us seriously, that we are not what we are talking about. Yeah.
For example, when we had the issue of the switching of biosimilars, it helped me a lot, because when you go in front of the Minister of Health, you know how to speak because you understand what's going on. A part of my experience before I had a pharmacy, and you had experience with pharma, so you can explain, and he understands you more. But then, being a patient, you are speaking from the patient voice. It is much more effective, can do a more impact.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary. Let's go to Alice. Alice, I have a question for you. Do you have any example of patient education and how it is work in Swiss, so we can better understand the patient education program?
Yes. For example, in Switzerland, we have a lot of patient education for people with diabetes. Many patients with diabetes don't take their treatment or give up on the treatment. So it's to understand why they don't want to have their treatment, why they give up on it. For example, many people with diabetes, after a moment with their treatment, everything is fine, so they don't feel sick anymore. And for some people, don't feeling sick is not being sick, which is not the case, but psychologically speaking, for some patients, it's like this. So it's coaching the patient to make him verbalize these conceptions of health, and to have a dialogue with him or her, so that he realizes that if he gives up on the treatment, he will have new symptoms, complications, etc., etc., and to make the people realize that it's not what they want. So what can we do so that he takes the treatment? So it's a lot about treatment compliance. Exactly. Yeah. And it's also, sometimes there are programs for people with diabetes to teach them how to cook. And actually at home, it's not the person who cooks, but someone else. So it's talking with the patient to know how his life is organized and to adapt the program. So it's maybe to teach how to cook to the spouse. Or,
yeah.
Yes, it's really to take into account as the life of the patient, and not what we think it is, but how it actually is.
I think it's a fantastic program, because we know, Alice, that a huge percentage of chronic patients, they don't make compliance to the treatment, and actually they don't tell it to the doctors. So exactly. The doctors are trying to think what is going wrong, and why is not reactive on the treatment, and then suddenly they come to their mind that maybe the patient is not compliant to the treatment. And this is very, very good, and I think we have to collaborate to make this patient education program to our federation, to our platform, and is very, very important. And I think when we have more educated patients, we will have better medicines and better understanding of our diseases. And the other thing that I would like to add, if Mary, you can add also, is that when we have the patient voice on a clinical development, we have better treatments and we have better medicines. Yes. Because if we have our voice on the development of a clinical trial, we are giving our perception, we are giving our knowledge. For example, we can say that if you develop, as Anna said before, if we develop a gadget for people with rheumatoid arthritis, for example, they have to be considered that many people, they have disability on their fingers, and maybe they cannot use easily their gadget. Or if people are traveling a lot to go, as Anna said before, she spent so many hours to travel to go to to the trial, and they have to. I mean, the development has to be focused also on this, not to be very harmful or very stressed to the patient that they are taking the clinical trials. So this is our perception, and this is the need on the development. And UPADI, I think, has a very interesting and very good job to do on that field. And I think that as Agora, we need to do more on this specific object.
But Andre, during the consultation with the patient before clinical trials, all these are evaluated and done by the patients. And before they go to clinical trials, they will be asked questions about their work, their time, and then the patient will consent, yes or no. That's why they are tailored accordingly. So those are, but education, as Alice has explained very well, is very important for us. So we can, Agora can play a good part in this education.
Yeah, and I had a question about UPADI fellows. What is actually the job? The job is that they are calling, they are announcing, the industry is announcing a clinical research that they are looking for patients educated to be part of the development of the clinical trial. So they are asking specific things and specific areas. And if you are having these specific things they are asking, you can contribute in the development of the clinical trial. And also they are coming and they are discussing with you for many other things. And about the HTA, they are asking me, yes, during the UPADI training, we are be training on the HTA. And countries more like us, like Cyprus, Malta, I think, and even Greece, as I know, we don't have a huge experience and knowledge on HTA. So UPADI can help us to understand and to try to learn about the HTA. Do you have any experience on HTA, Mary or Alice?
Not so much, because it's a very difficult topic. But
yeah,
I wanted to say that UPADI, after you graduate, and even after still today, they do. They invite us with webinars, with educational webinars. They will send you an email and you'll be invited. So they are continuing educating us even after we are graduated. So they keep us updated. And now they formed a group and of networking of UPADI fellows to put forward our challenges. So this is very important. So if we have a challenge on the national level, we can put it forward, and everyone who is in together, we help each other to support each other, and maybe you can suggest what we can do or what we share.
We have a question to you, Mary, and to me. First, I would like to read the question. It's from Elsa. Hi, Elsa.
Hi,
what sort of activities do you usually organize for members on national level at the UPADI national platforms, and how frequent?
On the national platform, we have meetings as a committee as yet, because now we did, because we don't have human resources as yet. That's why we are encouraging more patients to be involved. And the UPADI, the national platform of Malta, is under the auspice of the Malta Health Network. It's a government, it's an NGO, but it's called, because it's still small, it's an umbrella of other organizations. So we have the patient representative who takes care of all emails, and she disseminates it. So it's not so much burden on me because I have other things. So with the help together, we do. But we try to do at least. The COVID has limited us a lot, but we do 1 or 2 a year. But we go to do lectures and even for medical students, and we try to give awareness as much as possible whenever we can. But it's the president who will call for a meeting. So as I said, the COVID has limited us very much.
You know, in Cyprus, we have a very demanding president of UPADI, National Platform.
Good.
It's Susie, so everybody knows Susie. So she's very demanding on doing things. So yeah, in Cyprus we make only one the launching until now, because we are freshly new established UPADI, and we are planning to organize an education. But first we want to make the toolbox translation, and that's why we are asking for funds. And our next step, as soon as we'll translate the toolbox, it's to make a huge, a big training to the patient organization members that we have, because we have also the patient federation on our site, and they are awesome. Again, there we have Marios Kouloumas, who is the president of the federation, and he knows exactly what we want with UPADI. They are helping us on the federation to become bigger. And I think we are having in front of us huge things. And we will be trying, as we said, to make 3 to 4 meetings with the members per year. So this is our plans for now.
I know that Cyprus was only Susie on it. You didn't have academia, and you didn't have the Parma representative. So that's why you launched the new one. So we've been here in Malta, has been since 2014. We established it at that time. We started from Italy. We were collaborated with Italy, and then we launched it in Malta. We did a big conference. So, but then when there were 2 graduates of UPADI. One is no longer active, and at that time we had made with the medicine authority. We signed a memorandum that they would help us, and hopefully now we will start improving and progressing. Yeah. And now we have Neville, Professor Neville, maybe start rolling the ball.
Yeah. We had the same question as the previous from Kondruta. Thank you, Kondruta. Actually, it's a very big topic, the training of the patients, and we are running out of time in a little. It's very important, the training of the patients, and also we have the in Cyprus we have the launching, as I told you, and during the launching we have many academics that they came on the launching, and they find it very they were very interested on our job as patients. And we are seeing that more doors of academics are open now to patients, and they getting realized that we are a very good tool for the trials and the development of research. So Alice, do you want to tell us something at the finish?
Yes, I just would like to add that patient involvement in clinical trials and patient education are the two sides of the same coin. With patients involved in the clinical trials, you develop better treatments for the patients, and with patient education, you make the compliance to the treatments better. So it's yes, it's complementary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you for being today with us. Thank you, Mary. You are both very, very experienced and very helpful. And thank you for your contribution to our conference today. Of course, it's not finished, this topic for Agora, and we will have, we will develop a project on this, and because it's very interested from our members. And okay, thank you for being here. Now we have to make a break, and we will have a break. Just let me look the time. We will have a break for 15 minutes until 2:30, and then after we will have some more lectures and talk. Thank you once again, and see you in around 17 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Dina, please start.
Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back from your coffee break. This is the penultimate session. That's the one before the last, and we have two very interesting speakers to share more information with you. I'm sure you all agree this has been a very interesting and exciting conference. By way of introduction, I just want to say that I am Sina Boujeya, the Vice President of ARA Malta. You've been seeing my president all day long today. So let me go into the first presentation without much more discussion. I would like to invite Marios Kouloumas, who is a patient research partner and patient expert. He's the president of the Federation of Patients Associations of Cyprus, strategy advisor of the EULAR PARA Standing Committee, and member of the Committee for Clinical Excellence in Nicosia, Cyprus. Marios was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 10. He has been working in the public sector since 1983, and from 1993, he has been working at the Nicosia General Hospital. For the past 21 years, he has been actively involved as a volunteer in the movement of people with RMDs and chronic patients, both at a national and international level. He is currently the president of the Federation of Patients Association of Cyprus, which is an umbrella organization representing the national patient organizations. He is qualified patient research partner and patient expert. He is the leader of the EULAR campaign, Don't Delay, Connect Today task force, and the strategy advisor of the EULAR PARA Standing Committee. He is the former president and currently the honorary president of the Cyprus League Against Rheumatism, and the past EULAR vice president and honorary member of EULAR. He has also been awarded the European Congress of Rheumatology with Meritorious Services Award for his excellent input. Marios, I now ask you to start sharing your screen so we can have your presentation, which is titled Digital Health.
Thank you so much for introduction. I would like also to thank the organizers for the invitation. It's really a great pleasure for me and honor to be with you today. And I will speak about the digital health. My presentation will be about the digital health, and also to present to you the electronic health records, what is happening in Cyprus. So just to refresh the memories, a little bit about the history, that is one of the rooms in one of our hospitals. and these are the medical records of the patients. And this is the history for many countries, an old history. For other countries, maybe a recent history, but this is the old world. And this is the future. The future is the e-health. And in the e-health, we have not the patients, but we have the citizens in the center, and all the information about their health, not only about their disease, is included in the medical records. So the future that we all looking forward to be there. According to the WHO, the e-health is the use of information and communication technologies for health. Examples included, just I cannot see, include treating patients, conducting research, educating the health workforce, tracking diseases, and monitoring public health. Also, the European Patient Forum, in its campaign, calls all the EU institutions and the member states to foster patient-centered development of e-health and emphasize three key pillars: the equity of access, the patient safety, and the quality of care. Also, in the work plan of the e-health network, they said in their plan that it's very important for the society and the citizens to have timely and meaningful information. Also, the digital solutions are very important in order to support self-empowerment of the patients. And also, it is a recommendation to give to the patients the ownership of their own medical history, and this will allow them to better manage their own health. So the patient access to the electronic health records is very important because empowering the citizens in order to have more active role in the management of their health. Of course, one of the challenges that we face, and also we face in Cyprus, the challenge, is the so-called digital health literacy. Because we should give to the patients the ability and the skills to understand and to have access to these records. Just to say that in Cyprus, we have now these digital records, but only less of 50% they are already have access because of this problem with the digital health literacy. So it's good because in many countries, either on national level or the regional level, they're working to provide patients with access to their electronic health records. And this is very, very good. But also we see that there is lack of awareness on involving patients when increasing digital health literacy. So what is the digital health literacy? It is the ability of the citizens to have access and to understand the electronic health records and informations. So the citizens and the people, they need to have skills in order to understand and to appraise online health informations. And it's very important in order to, of the e-health deployment, to give this opportunity and to educate citizens in digital health literacy. So it is recommended, highly recommended, to encourage and to implement actions and projects that focus on providing citizens with opportunities to acquire the necessary digital health literacy skills to understand the electronic health records. Access to e-health data is also very important for two reasons, another two reasons. Because it's very important for the people working in different countries. And in these days, there is many people, they move from one country to other in order to work, to have timely access to their health data. But also is recommended and is very important for the implementation of the cross-border healthcare to have this access to electronic health records. So e-health can contribute to shift in healthcare from disease center to a patient center, because you can allow the healthcare professionals to have effectively monitor all the health status of the patients and to facilitate the chronic disease management, support and improve the patient, doctors, and other healthcare providers' communication. The e-health should be designed around the needs of the patient, and this should be accessible and friendly for the patients and for the citizens, improves the adherence to the treatment, and of course, support the patient empowerment, which is very important in order to manage effectively their disease. The electronic health records is a comprehensive medical records with past and present physical and mental state of health. And as we said before, provide important benefits for the patients. It can improve the exchange information between the different healthcare professionals. And we know that in many diseases, we have many healthcare professionals working for one patient. It's the multidisciplinary group that they should have access and exchange information. And to empower the patients and also to support and enhance the shared decision-making. So the Cyprus case, I will present to you the establishment in Cyprus, the National E-Health Authority. According to the law, the purpose of this law is to establish a framework for the use of electronic health for the prevention of the disease, to promote the health services, is establishment, of course, of the National E-Health Authority, to implementation of the e-health record system, which is one of our topics today, and of course, to regulate the storage and use of biomedical information, and also for research, but also for telemedicine. So just to highlight that among the board members, there is 5 members in the board of this authority, which is very important in order to implement the e-health in Cyprus. We have different experts, but we have also one representing the patient organizations. So the patients and the organizations, they have their own representative in the board of this important authority. Then the authority's responsibilities is to issue instructions for the health data banks, because you need banks in order to save all this huge amount of data. Inspections and monitoring of the health data banks, and we speak also about safety here of the data, which are very sensitive. Defining the operating standards and specifications, to implement these data in a way that you can read it everywhere in the cross-border healthcare. So all the member states, they have to collaborate in order to have standardized, save these data. To setting specifications for the telemedicines, guidelines for the applications, for the e-health applications. Also, the president of the authority is the national e-health counterpoint, and in every country member, there is one counterpoint that you can contact whatever you have any questions or something about the e-health. The establishment of the registers, which also is very important, and also to monitoring the quality and safety of the services provided by the healthcare providers. So the health data shall include records and informations about the identity of the patient, of the providers, medical information regarding the treatment received by the patients, previewed medical history, the diagnosis, medical condition and treatment provided. And of course, other information about the physical or mental health or condition of the patient. And all the citizens of the Republic of Cyprus, they are going to have their own medical records. Another issue in the law, and it's very important also to have this in mind, is that the ownership of the data is to the citizen. So the citizen has fully authorization and is their own, in his or her own medical records. This is very important because we as a patients, all the data belong to us and to nobody else. And this is also in the law. The e-health services include on electronic provision of health and wellness information to patients, includes the home care and telemedicine, which are very important, of course, for patients, and also for research. So to collect and manage data for research, also important for everybody, of course, and for the prevention of diseases. And the last one that is going to speak a little bit more about is the electronic health records and the e-prescriptions, of course, which is the one that I'm going to present to you next. So in Cyprus, we have implemented in the last 2 years the new healthcare system and also the new national health information system implemented by the Health Insurance Organization in Cyprus. So what is this system? It's consisted of several softwares. Is the claim management system, is the beneficiary management system, is the healthcare provider management system, the funds and budgeting management system, the business support system, and interfaces with other systems. This is a very unique opportunity for Cyprus because it's only one system for all the services, for all the health services in Cyprus, allow the collaboration and the exchange of information between private and public sector, standardize and codify the exchange health data, and this is very important because you have, in a standardized ways, all the data, and then you can change that. And of course, promote the e-health across the island. So in the whole Cyprus, in a short time frame. So even this system is also for claims, but it's not only for claims, it's also in order to manage the operation of this system as described in the law. It collects a huge amount of health data in a codified form, as I said before, includes important data from beneficiaries, from the providers, and from all the activities, clinical, medical, and other activities in the system, enables to enforce a simple and complex rules in a real time, and allows, of course, and this also is good for the patients, the creation of the patient history record. Why it works perfectly in Cyprus? It works because all the health providers are connected with this system. And this is one very of the good of the system. And of course, inside the system, in the data, you can have everything. The referrals, the claiming activities, and the visits, and everything that is, every services that is provided to the patient. How it works is very easy. You don't need any software, you don't need any hardware, you don't need to buy anything. You only thing that you need is one computer and internet connection. And you can have access in every corner of the world, just you need a computer and internet. It's free by the health insurance organization. And it's one system for all the doctors, for all the health providers, for all the beneficiaries. So all the health providers are connected to this system in the health insurance organization, and all the data are collected at this system. This is the system and the process. You see that everything is inside of this system. And this is the architecture of the system. Of course, it's a little busy slide, a little bit complicated, but it's included everything. So the data banks, we have data banks for the beneficiaries. And as I said before, all the Cyprus population is in this system. All the health providers also in the public and private sector. And in this system includes all the activities, all the clinical, medical, and other activities provided to the patients. The electronic patient history, as you can see, there are informations from all the providers, from family doctors, specialists, pharmacists, labs, imaging hospitals, other health professionals, and the administrations, and includes all these medical informations in the history. And the access to electronic patient history, they have the health providers, but with a different level of access. As you can see, the family doctors, they have full access, the specialists, they have full access, and the administration of the organization, they have full access, but all the others, they have different level of access to the patient history. This is a patient profile, which includes allergies, vaccinations, list of current problems, active medication, major surgical procedures, social history, pregnancy history, blood pressure and blood group, childhood illness, permanent disabilities, and other patient characteristics. So it's a very comprehensive profile. What is the good for the patients? It's very good because as a patient, as a citizen, we can manage our personal data. Also, it's good because all our medical records is there available for us anytime, anywhere. Also, as a beneficiaries and as a citizen, we control the access to our data. So if we want, we can hide all our data to the doctors or to any other health provider. And also, we can have every 6 months a report, if we like, of course, to report us from the health insurance organizations about the claims of the services that they provide, the health professionals provided to us. Conclusions. The National Health Information System is opening up a great opportunities for e-health in Cyprus. It covers all the Cyprus population and foreigners, including important collections of health data, codify and standardize healthcare services, used by all healthcare professionals contacted with HIO, the Health Insurance Organization, allow the implementation of protocols, and this is also very good, introduce a common IT infrastructures and services for e-health, allow the cooperation and change of information between the private and public sector, documentation, monitoring, and control of the utilization of the healthcare services, analyzes of data and calculations of several indices for taking corrective action. And I close with the conclusion of the European Union e-Health Action Plan 2012-2020, which says e-health can benefit citizens, patients, health and care professionals, but also health organizations and public authorities. E-health, when applied effectively, delivers more personalized, citizen-centric healthcare, which is more targeted, effective, and efficient, and helps reduce errors, as well as the length of hospitalization. It facilitates socioeconomic inclusions and equality, quality of life, and patient empowerment through greater transparency, access to services and information, and other use of social media for health. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Marius, for that very interesting presentation. Actually, in your few minutes, you made us realize how we went from having a file with a warning not to be handled by patient era to self-empowerment and control of your own data. And that has happened in our lifetime. We need to be aware of that. So thank you, Marius. Now we need to look at some questions. We already had a question, which I am not seeing at the moment. Let me see. Yes, okay, we have a question. And the question is, what is the solution for the elderly and or people without access to internet?
Yes, this is one problem that we face in Cyprus. And in order to find a solution, we have established in the government an office, and they can help the people who cannot have access or they don't know how to log in the internet in this application. But also because in Cyprus, the healthcare system, everybody have their own family doctor. So also the health insurance organization, they entitle all the family doctors to support the elderly in this respect.
And there is a follow-up question to that one, please, Marius. And who puts the data inside the e-health and is responsible that the data will not be available to everyone else, and especially hackers? Who is protecting the data?
Okay, who put the data in the system? All the health providers, doctors, pharmacies, the labs, all the health providers, they put the data in the system. And who is in charge for that is the health insurance organization. We have only one, it's a state insurance company, is the health organization who implement the healthcare system in Cyprus, and they are responsible for the safety of our data.
And I have another question, please, Marius. Kindly explain the reason behind the right to hide your information to the doctor.
It's something that we ask for this as a patient, and we demand that, because if you go to the physiotherapist and you don't want your physiotherapist to see that you are also go to psychiatric, or you have a disease that is not relevant to him, and then you are able to hide that. But also for other reasons, maybe not so important. I heard from patients that if they change a pharmacist, because you can go in every pharmacist in a private sector to take your drugs, but if you go one day in one pharmacy and the next day to other pharmacies, and you don't want to see that they see that you change pharmacies, and you can hide that. So for good reasons and for simple reasons. But it's the right of the patient, and this is the right. We don't speak why, but it's the right for me to hide information that I don't want any other to see that.
Thank you, Marius. I have a statement here saying Kostis Antonopoulos would like to answer this question live. Can I ask the speaker to come forward, please? Did I get that correct? Or I think Marius has already answered, so.
No, it's not. It's Zina. It's not correct.
It's the system.
It's the system. Yes.
Okay.
Because
okay.
they took as an answer. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So I apologize. So we have been answered very clearly by Marius. Any other questions? Anybody else wants to put forward a question? Okay, there doesn't seem to be any others. So again, I thank you, Marius, for your very interesting presentation.
Thank you. Great pleasure.
And now I move on to the next speaker.
Sorry to interrupt, but there is a raise from Andre.
Oh, sorry,
Andre?
I didn't see that.
Yes.
So apologies.
Andre, you lower your head.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to thank Marius for his great speech, but I would like to ask him one last question. Do you have any lack of knowledge or lack of interest of the clinicians to put in the system all the information about the patient? So are the clinicians willing to put the information, or do they resist that they don't have time to do it and they cannot do it? And do you have any kind of these problems?
Yes, indeed. And every new reform that we have, of course, there is also the resistance. And yes, it's very valid. There is a huge, maybe more than 50% of the clinicians, they didn't fill up all the information about the patient. It's something that we discussed with the health insurance organization in Cyprus. And what we come up with the conclusion is that we can link the information that they should complete in the data with the claims and the reimbursement of the doctors. It's something, yes, that the doctors, they say they don't have time and they are reluctant to fill up all the data that we need to have, or this, as I said before. So it's something that we discuss, and probably we find a way to make them to do that, because it's very important to have a comprehensive profile with all the information there for the patient.
I would like also to add, Marius, because I know I am from Cyprus, and I would like to add that during the vaccination procedure for COVID-19 vaccines, we focus a really problem that we find out that less than 25% of the people that using the national health system, they didn't have registered on the platform of the e-health system. And they focused this problem when they wanted to put their appointment for the vaccination, because the national insurance system asked us to make the appointment through the system.
Yes, also
Isn't it?
right. Now the percentage is up to 40, so it's better now. But it's something that to do with the e-health literacy, that the people, they don't know how to do that, or they are not, they don't have the skills, or they are afraid, or they don't know how to do that. So it's something that as organization we have to educate and facilitate this process to educate them and to increase and their skills. Yes.
There is another question, if I may put it in, please, Marius. Has your organization, oops, I just lost it now. Has your organization already run literacy e-health courses, or are these courses to be organized on a national level by the authorities?
No. It's something that we as a patient organizations, we know that. It's something that we discuss with the health insurance organization in order to give to us the funds in order to do that on behalf of them, because we know better how to do that. And now we collaborate also with the EU party Cyprus in order to conduct these education courses, but also campaign for the e-health literacy. we ask funds from the government and from the health organization in order to do that.
So we are coming to the end of our conference, the 10th Agora conference. I would like to have in the floor Mary, Marivella and Anna Veira. Do we have them?
I'm here.
I'm here as well.
Hi. So we are coming to our end. Today we had a great conference. I have this feeling that all of our speakers were fantastic with a lot of information, and they are all empowered us and motivating us to do more things for Agora and for Southern Europe, for our members. And of course, I would like to listen Mary. But before we go into our last words, I just wanted to tell you that during our registration, we had a questionnaire to our participants, and I would like to share some data with you. As we had data with Marco, now we are continuing with data from our members. We asked them about clinical trials and about their knowledge on clinical trials and about their needs. We have 29 participants, and we asked them if they are familiar with the clinical trial process and the development. And we have 23 answer that they were familiar or they have some knowledge. We asked them if they need more information, and out of 29, the answer was yes. So they think that they need more information on clinical trials. We ask them if they have access as an organization on any research and development on clinical trials or even on just clinical trials. And we have 11 answers with no, 8 answers with yes, and 10 answers with maybe. I assume that they didn't know if their organization has this access. We asked them if they have an opportunity to take part, to participate, to involve on any development of clinical trials, and we have 100% yes. So our members want to be part of the clinical trials research and development, and these all were our questions. And we wanted to say that we are here, Agora is here to do more things on clinical trials. And after our today conference, we will make more. That's all. Now I would like to give the floor to Anna, because we know all of us that our next conference is gonna be in Portugal. Yeah. I hope so that we will be in Portugal in 2022. And I would like to give to Anna the space to talk. But before, I just wanted to inform you that if the things are going good with pandemic, the 2023, we decided as a board, of course, we will see it again with next meetings, that we should go back to Podgorica, to Montenegro, because we didn't have the luck to go last year, and we wanted to give the chance to Montenegro to make the conference. So on 2023, we are going there. So Anna, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. I'm trying to share my screen now. Can you please just confirm that you are seeing my slides.
Yes, we are seeing them.
Okay, so I'm back here today to talk to you on behalf of my national organization, the Portuguese League Against Rheumatic Diseases, which will be hosting the 2022 Agora conference, hopefully face-to-face after this tremendous outbreak of the pandemic. So I'm going to make a short presentation of my national organization. I guess most of you know it, but anyway, it was born from the need felt by doctors in Portugal at the Portuguese Institute of Rheumatology back in 1969, and from what was recommended in the bylaws of the Portuguese Society of Rheumatology, which was itself created in 1972. So the Portuguese League Against Rheumatic Diseases was constituted on 14th of April of 1982. I guess my president does not need great presentations to you. We have a very charismatic president since 2015, Elsa Mateus. Saying she has a PhD in health anthropology, that she's an OPETI fellow and a EULAR patient research partner, also chair of the EULAR Standing Committee of PARI, and a GIA patient diagnosed back in 1972. It's a very short CV, but if I had to tell you all about her, I would spend the whole conference speaking about Elsa. Just like your own organizations of the other Agora members, since the creation of our national patient organization, we have been focusing on patients with RMDs, and we've been developing strategies with the aim of disseminating information to the general public about rheumatic diseases. We wanted to assist all those suffering with these diseases, contributing to their integration in society. We try to advise patients and their families and to contribute to the creation and maintenance of specialized centers of diagnosis, treatment, care and recovery for the rheumatic patients. We carry out prevention campaigns, develop training actions, encourage and collaborate with scientific research. We try to defend as much as possible the social and political interests of the patients, and to maintain contacts and collaborate with all national and international associations and other similar organizations. So since 1998, we have held the Rheumatic Patient Support Forum on an early basis. So it takes place every year. It's been a face-to-face events until the COVID outbreak. So the last 2 years we've done it online. We invite experts to address topics of interest for people living with rheumatic diseases. And this year we will probably hold this on a hybrid solution, virtual and face-to-face, at the same time of the Portuguese Society Congress in October. We have a quarterly newsletter created in 2001 with patient-oriented content. In addition to the paper version, it is available also on our website, and patients can get it also via email or on our social media channels. We have a website, and we run 4 social media channels. Our YouTube channel provides various videos and reports of interest to people with rheumatic diseases. And for instance, our Facebook page has about 14,300 followers. Some of our patient groups also have their own Facebook pages and discussion groups. Our associative dynamic involves the management of 5 disease-specific patient groups. Over here, you will see it better in the next slides, and also volunteer activities and activities for members. So here you can see some pictures of the patient group of osteoarthritis and some of the activities developed specifically for this disease-specific group. Then you have the pain patients group, with several pictures of different activities addressing chronic pain. We have also Sjogren's syndrome patient groups we have developed, along with the Portuguese League, a leaflet of support for patients with this condition, and we've been participating in national as well as in international conferences and symposiums dedicated to this specific disease. Then we have systemic sclerosis patient group, also very active with Zumba parties, spinning, and conferences as well. And the most recent patient group is the Bassett disease patient group, which was established back in December of 2018. So they are just starting. Then we have our volunteers, which represent the association in different dissemination and outreach actions. And we have our members, and we organize cultural outgoing, social gathering, and workshops for them as long as it has been possible. Of course, COVID stopped us for 2 years, but hopefully the coming year things will get better and we will get back to face-to-face meetings. We also have honorary members, and among them are Portuguese associations, national associations of fibromyalgia, for instance, lupus, GIA, and RA. On the international background, we are members of EULAR, FESCA, Agora, Sugar Europe Federation, Eurordis, and EUPATI. And of course, we are involved in several international and national projects, but it's a long list, so I won't keep you busy with that. And now I want to share with you, I hope this works.
How many times have you left early, cancelled a meeting, or otherwise changed your plan?
How many times do you find yourself staying when you say you're going?
How many times have you thought about starting over, but said to yourself, well, perhaps I'm a stayer, not a goer?
How many times did you look at yourself from another perspective and grasp, when all was said and done, you were simply in the wrong place?
This is the moment to seek out new views and angles.
We're the same size as what we see and not what we have.
We may not all speak the same language, but we do all speak with the same tongue.
The good news is they are still here. These landscapes do persist in the three-dimensional world that we exist, and they do hold the capacity to transform us. So come, take a look, but look to see, and not to show, and save it right here and here. Put the phone away and go.
Don't feel like you're past your best. Just remember that no matter how many years we are granted, and however wise, however much dust has settled in our eyes, we still don't know just what wave might be next. 2-meter roller or a 30-meter breaker?
Escaping is pointless.
So voyage out, let the wind blow through your sails, explore, dream and discover. Believe that that sky is going to seem that bit bluer.
It's not the time to take your bow. Past is behind, the future ahead. What we have is this great moment now.
Keep this in your head. It's the truth. And this is the proof. And it's with us each and every day. We just have to read the signs.
The train only passes once. We can't skip new ideas.
We can't skip new beginnings.
Because after all, we can't skip life.
Thank you so much, Anna, for your presentation. And I am looking forward to be in Portugal with you and with the rest of the people of Agora. And because I really miss these face-to-face meetings and the hugs and the kisses and the networking, and during our breaks and our lunch and dinners and the dance, especially the dance, that now they don't allow us to dance and they want us only to sit on the chair. And I wish we will have our next meeting in Portugal face-to-face, and having all these nice things we used to do. Thank you, Mary, for your hosting this conference in Malta. It should be an excellent face-to-face meeting, but unfortunately we have this, but it was also great. And you are fantastic with your teams. And thank you for having this wonderful conference. Of course, we should do something with Malta also. We will see what we will do in order to get with you in Malta. And do you want to say something, Mary?
Yes, I want to congratulate Agora for this excellent conference. And it came much food for thoughts. And I want to thank all speakers, all organizers who worked, and especially the speakers who brought this excellent conference and brought so much knowledge to us that we could work in the future. I thank Katie for all the work she has done, and you, Andre, with all your committee. The speakers, Anna, I can start from the very top. I thank His Excellency, the President, with a very welcome speech. Just a minute. I thank Professor Kubalis, his interesting presentation on interesting point on food and drug interaction. Ms. Papa, a very human approach that reflects the reality of patients. Professor Kaleya, importance of making the governance framework around clinical trials known to help patients feel more reassured. Anna Vera, importance of informing the public and patients about clinical trials and advantages. I thank Maria Durante and our working group, me and Andre, for the presentation on new party. I also thank Marius for the detailed presentation that he gave us on e-health, digital health. Professor Marco Corrido Canberra, who gave us the research work, and we promised him to keep it confidentially. So it's very important for us all to keep it confidentially and not spread it on the internet for now, and then we'll tell you. And I close and hope to meet in Portugal face to face and hug and dance as everybody wish. And I say thank you, everybody. I hope you have a very, very, very pleasant evening and rest. It has been a long day. Thank you so much, everybody.
It's just after our conference is coming to an end, we are focusing on the next one, and we also are seeing that we have a lot of work to do with all these things that we had today. We have great opportunities to work harder and do greater things for Agora and for our members. We have a lot of thanks and from the people that they are participating on the chat, and each one, Hannah Gruber is telling to Anna that if she will invite Cristiano Ronaldo on our conference. If yes, she will be in Portugal. So
we will see if we can manage that.
Yeah, because you know he's a football player. Maybe later on he has osteoarthritis. So, so thank you everybody, and thank you to Kadi and to her team for today work, because without them we wouldn't have this very good conference. And see you and have a great night and great evening. Relax and enjoy. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Miss you all.
Miss you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Before closing, that to stress that we have about 30 people participating in the conference, the two different channels, through this channel and through the official channel or the official website channel of the conference. So I think it is very important, and thank you all for your cooperation.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Andre. Thank everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.